They discovered the shocking true role of Azrael, the angel who left Lucifer trembling. Few knew what truly happened that night. A night drenched in shadows, where the very fabric of heaven and hell was at stake. The air crackled with anticipation. In the celestial realms, whispers of dread coiled like smoke. The name of Azrael stirred fear even in the hearts of the strongest angels. A harbinger of change, he was not just a guide for souls. No, he was the keeper of secrets that could bend the will of the Dark One himself. Picture this: Jerusalem, under a cloak of night. The moon hung low, casting silver beams that danced over ancient stones. It was a city steeped in history, a sacred battleground between light and darkness. Countless eyes watched the unfolding enigma, breathless and terrified. Azrael stood tall, a silhouette against the backdrop of swirling chaos, wings shimmering like the dying embers of a burning flame. His presence commanded silence, his power palpable. Angels and demons alike felt the tremor of his approach. What was the true purpose of Azrael? Was he a guide, an avenger, or something more sinister? And then, the first crack of thunder, rending the air. A miracle unraveled. The ground trembled as if the world itself feared what was to come. Azrael, with a gaze fierce and piercing, turned toward the dark abyss. What lay beneath that veil? Observers thought. Murmurs spread. Was he the one who could challenge Lucifer, or would he falter? The tension mounted. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown. A confrontation was imminent, a clash of heavenly light against the smoldering darkness. Fear wrapped around the crowd, squeezing their hearts tight. Could Azrael emerge victorious? Or was this the end of a mysterious chapter? As the storm surged above, a thought flickered: if Azrael held such power, what would become of the balance of the universe? It echoed loudly in the minds of those watching. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The wind swept across the ancient rooftops of Jerusalem, carrying with them fragments of fear and whispers of prophecy. The city lay shrouded in a thick cloak of anticipation, the kind that settled like a heavy fog upon the hearts of its inhabitants. They gazed upward, feeling the chilling energy that enveloped the skies, as if the very heavens were conspiring in the balance of their fate. That eye in the distance, a group of seekers huddled, eyes wide with reverence and dread. Among them was a rabbi, steeped in wisdom yet visibly shaken. His thoughts drifted like autumn leaves in the wind. Could the arrival of Azrael signal the dawning of a new age? He pondered, wrestling with a newfound urgency as he recalled the scriptures that spoke of angels descending to deliver divine judgment. Suddenly, the air shifted, the electric tension palpable as Azrael drew closer. Each flap of his wings sent ripples through the dark currents that threatened to engulf the city. The ground beneath felt as though it was alive, awaiting the fateful decisions about to be made. What guidance could the angel of death possibly offer in a realm where hope flickered like a distant flame? As he approached the edge of the abyss, a pulse echoed from his very being, a resonating truth that filled the hearts of those assembled. They could feel the struggle between light and dark interwoven in the fabric of their existence. This was no mere encounter, it was a reckoning. Within the crowd, a young girl named Miriam raised her trembling hands, pleading for understanding. Azrael, mighty spirit, grant us clarity. What is your purpose? Will you bring forth salvation or destruction? Her voice pierced through the clamor, seeking to bridge the chasm of uncertainty that had settled over them all. In that moment, Azrael turned, his gaze softer than expected. Those who looked into his eyes saw not merely an angel meant to strike fear, but a guardian of profound wisdom, imbued with the weight of countless secrets. I come not to shatter or heal, but to reveal, he proclaimed, his voice a harmonious blend of strength and sorrow. The crowd's breath hitched, for within his words lay the essence of an unsolved mystery. What truths did the angel keep hidden? What choices had led them all to this moment? With each heartbeat, they registered the enormity of their quests, each soul carrying burdens intertwined with blessings, seeking answers from a figure who harbored the delicate balance of fate. As the tempest swirled around them, uncertainty loomed large. Was Azrael there to confront Lucifer, or to challenge the very beliefs of mankind about life and death, good and evil? Goosebumps cascaded down their spines, creating a palpable aura of introspection. Azrael spread his wings, claiming the space around him as a sacred circle of contemplation. The choice remains yours, he spoke cryptically, to understand the nature of sacrifice, to confront the shadows that live within. The crowd was left at the mercy of their questions, and a single thought hung heavy in the air like the gathering storm: what sacrifices must they make, and what truths would be unearthed in the heart of darkness? Would their faith endure when faced with the revelations that could change their understanding of existence itself? The chill of the night deepened, but perhaps this awakening was merely the precursor to an awakening not yet imagined. As the winds howled louder and the clouds swirled ominously overhead, the seekers steadied themselves, enthralled and frightened by the presence of Azrael. The promise of revelation hung thick in the air, but dread clung to their hearts like a shroud. They exchanged uncertain glances, communal silence descending upon the assembly as they awaited the angel's next words. Miriam, still gripping her hands together, felt an ancient stirring within her spirit. It seemed as though the very earth echoed the pain and hope that had been trapped in their collective consciousness. She could hear their whispers, stories of loved ones lost, of aspirations dashed against the harsh stones of reality. What must I confront within myself to grasp the truth you hold? She thought fervently. Azrael's gaze swept across the congregation, those radiant eyes piercing through the walls they had built around their fears. As if reading their very souls, he began to speak again, each word laden with an ethereal weight. To unravel the ties that bind you, to taste the newfound freedom beyond veils of illusion, you must first recognize the shadows that dwell not only outside but also within, he urged, a tinge of sorrow in his voice. Will my willingness to face these shadows bring suffering? Cried out another from the assembly, an elder whose wisdom had been tempered by loss. Do we not endure enough already? His voice trembled, etched with the permanence of grief. A soft wind flowed through Azrael's feathers, and a deep calm descended upon him. It is through suffering that one finds purpose. The essence of sacrifice is to become aware of the dichotomy between what is sought after and what is already present in your hearts. Each choice leads down a path. Some may yield solace, while others may unearth greater turmoil. Are you prepared to walk into the chasm to uncover the truth hidden therein? From deep within, a murmur arose, a swell of conflicting emotions intermingling, a desire to cling to safety, paralleled by an unquenchable thirst for truth. The reflection of Azrael's answer created ripples of inward contemplation that pressed against the surface of their souls. Miriam instinctively nodded, understanding the weight of her forebear's burden, feeling the tug of generations past pulling her toward understanding. She longed to see clearly, to grasp beyond the veil of uncertainty. But what will become of us, Azrael? If every truth leads to deeper darkness, what then? Will we remain whole? Here, the angel's demeanor shifted, his expression softened, enveloped in a sacred melancholy. Ah, dear child of light, wholeness emerges not through avoidance but through acceptance of all that you are, flawed, imperfect, and yet boundlessly loved. You must wade into the depths of your own reflection to realize that beauty and horror are not disconnected. Embrace them, and only then will you discover the capacity to transcend grief. As the crowd absorbed his words, the skies crackled as though in response to their stirring hearts. Yet, beneath the exhilarating promise of illumination, fear tinged their resolve. How could they embrace grief and beauty in tandem, knowing that such truth could shatter the fragile beliefs built upon certainty? Azrael, sensing the turmoil, unfurled one great wing, creating a bridge between the sacred world and the earthly realm. Understand this: the past holds truth, the present your choices, and the future your growth. Travel this path, but be cautious. What you seek may alter your essence forever. The shadows speak truths often left unheard. And in that solemn moment, Miriam grasped an understanding that traversed beyond her years, that the confrontation with darkness was not merely a chilling descent but a crucial ascent toward enlightenment. Yet, as Azrael returned to stillness, loomed the question that nagged each heart: how far would they go into the labyrinth of their souls to uncover the revelations waiting just beyond their comfort? Would they choose to follow this shadowed path, risking all they cherished for knowledge that held both the promise of greatness and the threat of despair? In the stillness that followed Azrael's profound words, the air pulsed with a strange tension, as if the universe held its breath. The seekers exchanged glances anew, uncertainty mingling with a flicker of courage. Each soul present felt the weight of choice settling heavily upon them. They were not merely witnesses to an ethereal revelation, they were participants in a cosmic unfolding. Miriam's heart received a mixture of excitement and dread coiling within. She turned her gaze skyward, where the swirling clouds seemed to part momentarily, casting a pale light upon the earth below. The ethereal glow illuminated the makeup of her fellow seekers, each face a mirror reflecting myriad stories, struggles, and silent longings. In the back of her mind, a question spiraled, whispering through the dense fog of doubt: what if the truths they uncovered would shake the very foundation of their beliefs? Would they find themselves lost within the chaos? Or would they emerge reborn, like the phoenix rising from the ash? "I am willing," she whispered into the stillness, her voice barely breaking the silence, yet it resonated loudly within her own chest. "I will confront, whatever it takes." A brave resolve swelled inside her, spilling over into the hearts of others. One by one, hands began to rise in a silent pledge, a commitment to embrace deeper understanding despite the shadows lurking beyond. Azrael's presence seemed to brighten with their collective resolve, a spectral light illuminating the path of their journey ahead. "Very well, brave seekers," he intoned, his voice a melodic blend of divine power and gentle compassion. "With acceptance of your mortal limitations comes the opportunity for ascendance. Together, we shall step towards the unknown." Miriam found solace in this unity. They were no longer isolated beings bound by personal griefs, but woven together by the threads of shared humanity and longing for clarity. "And what shall guide us on this treacherous path?" she inquired, seeking the angel's guidance amid the gathering darkness. "There exists a compass within each of you, a profound intuition shaped by experience and laced with the spirit that breathes life into all. Listen closely to the echoes of your existence, they will guide your way. However, the shadows will also speak, allow them to lead you to what has been hidden from your view." The seekers began to ponder the significance of their pasts, of the moments that lingered painfully, as if caught in a web of regret and unfulfilled dreams. What stories had been left untold due to fear? What dimensions of themselves remained undiscovered? The questions stirred within them like a tempest of hopes and terrors. Azrael stepped forward, drawing closer to Miriam. "You, dear child, understand well the burden of memory. Do not shun it, for it carries the key to your liberation." His gaze bore into her, a probing light that seemed to strip away her defenses, forcing her to confront the strangled narratives that had taken root within her spirit. It dawned upon her that it was indeed her own shadows, the fears of inadequacy, sadness from losses unspoken, and the relentless pursuit of an unattainable perfection that held her captive. "But if I must confront these shadows," Miriam whispered, "will they not consume me? What if I falter in the face of this reckoning?" Azrael's response flowed like a gentle river, soothing yet undeniably powerful. "In embracing the totality of your being, your light and your dark, you shall discover that vulnerability does not equate to weakness. Instead, it offers an unparalleled strength, allowing transformation to take root. Remember, every star shines brighter amidst darkness." As if to affirm his words, the clouds shifted, revealing a brilliant star that boldly twinkled against the night. The sight breathed courage into Miriam's heart. There was beauty ensconced within darkness, a delicate balance poised between despair and hope. She took a deep breath, contemplating what lay ahead, yet feeling the shifting weight of this new awareness. "But surely," she mused aloud, "steps forward into this abyss will change us in ways we cannot begin to fathom. Is the cost worth the journey?" Azrael tilted his head, the feathers of his wings catching the celestial light. "Every journey bears costs and rewards. The essence lies not merely in the destination but in the transformation birthed through the experience itself. Ask yourself, seekers, are you not already transformed by seeking truth? The very act of yearning is where the spark ignites. The seekers felt a shifting within, an awakening fueled by the promise of discovery. Yet, lingering questions remained like shadows at dusk. Could they unveil the truths without losing themselves? What dimensions of grief and beauty awaited them beyond the threshold of the known? With hearts entwined in hope and trepidation, they stood upon the precipice of their spiritual journey, contemplating their commitment to delve into the depths. And as they looked to Azrael, who awaited with an unfathomable patience, they wondered, what revelations lay hidden in their shadows, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek. The air buzzed with an electric anticipation as the seekers gathered closely, their hearts intertwined with a fragile thread of courage. Under Azrael's celestial gaze, they felt the weight of their unspoken fears swell, a tumultuous sea within each of them. In this stillness, uncertainty and possibility clashed, creating a palpable energy that thrummed at the very core of their collective spirit. Tonight, you will embark upon a journey not just through memory, but into the origins of your existence, Azrael announced, the wisdom in his voice echoing through the silence like the toll of a distant bell. To reveal the true essence of your shadows, you must first uncover the mysteries veiled within your pasts. Miriam's mind swirled with visions of her childhood, the joyous laughter mingled with pain, the moments of innocence interrupted by loss. She felt her heartbeat quicken. What if exploring these uncharted territories of our souls leads us to places we are not prepared to face? She breathed, the depth of her dread pooling in her chest. Fear not the depths, rather, embrace the truth within them, Azrael replied, his eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom. For it is through understanding that you will grasp the fulcrum of your spirit. In unveiling the truth, you may find liberation. His words stirred within them a blend of curiosity and apprehension, suggesting that within their darkest corners lay truths that could redefine their existence. As Azrael began his chant, the colors of the cosmos swirled with a luminescent intensity, enveloping the seekers in the ethereal tapestry of spirit and memory. Images flickered like distant stars, moments long forgotten flared to life, each a vivid display of regrets and triumphs that shaped who they were destined to become. Miriam found herself standing before a mirror of her own creation, reflecting pieces of her past, her joyous birth, the innocent laughter of her youth, intertwined with the somber specter of her losses. The room around her pulsed with the echoes of forgotten dreams and unvoiced fears, weaving together the essence of both light and shadow into a singular narrative. Every step you take within these reflections brings forth the essence of who you are. Azrael's voice resonated through the chamber, unbinding them from the weight of frozen time. Know that with each revelation, you stand not alone, but shoulder to shoulder with those who confront their own truths. In this moment, she felt the presence of the other seekers, their paths intertwined in the loom of life's grand tapestry. Miriam stepped closer to her reflections, reaching toward the mirrors of her life. Each surface shimmered with the brilliance of memories, tempting her to touch upon the parts most painful. As her fingertips grazed the cool glass, she gasped, awakening memories that burned sharper than wildfire, shadows of self-doubt, the gnawing ache of bitterness, the wish to rewrite her narrative. Why must we relive the pain? She questioned, her voice trembling, quaking with the weight of her inquiry. What purpose does suffering serve in this celestial dance? Azrael paused, the air thick with contemplation. It is often through struggle that the soul is honed, he said gently, the depths of his eyes swirling with unspoken truths. Think of the sculptor who chisels against the stone, revealing beauty beneath layers of grit and despair. Will you not find your raw essence in this excavation? Are we then mere sculptors of our fate, Azrael? She asked, a flicker of hope igniting amidst her fears. Or are we trapped within the stones we ourselves have carved? Both and neither, he mused, his wings unfurling gracefully like a cascade of light. You possess the power of creation, yet, the shadows you touch may guide you to compassionate rebirth. The complexity of existence invites exploration. Do surrender to it, and you may find healing in the dance between creation and destruction. As the seekers collectively gazed into their reflections, the shadows they had once feared transformed into echoes of grace, old wounds flaring up with the promise of healing, new paths blossoming from the roots of their pain. Miriam felt the assurance swelling amongst them, mingling with anxiety, a profound conflict that offered no simple resolution. Yet, as the journey unfurled, a question lingered heavy in the air, whispering amongst them like an unsung melody. In the process of reclaiming one's truths, could they truly risk the unraveling of their core selves? What lay in the heart of the shadows, waiting for them to discover versus what would be forever lost in their quest for illumination? The air shimmered as Miriam and the other seekers stood at the intersection of their fragmented selves. The glimmering reflections continued to swirl around them, echoes of laughter and echoes of tears intermingled, creating an almost symphonic reverberation that washed over the gathering. In this dynamic space created by Azrael's voice and purpose, the currents of the seekers' shared experiences began to intertwine more deeply. Look beyond the surface, Azrael urged gently, his voice caressing the silence with tender authority. What you perceive as mere instances of light and darkness are but strokes of a divine brush painting the full canvas of your souls. His gaze seemed to pierce through the very essence of their beings. With renewed vigor, Miriam turned back to the glassy figures that continued to shift and transform, illuminating the deeper contours of her existence. As she recoiled from the shadows she had discovered, a movement caught her eye, a flicker of a face within one of the reflections. It was a face she did not recognize, yet it held an undeniable familiarity, like an uninvited guest at a banquet who had dwelled in her heart. "Who is that?" she whispered, fear gripping her throat. Others pivoted towards her as she gestured, drawn to the engaging figure that seemed to beckon her from the depths of her untamed past. "That is the essence of a choice unmade," Azrael answered solemnly. "A path you could have taken, an alternate reality standing side by side with the one you live. Each choice shapes the silhouette of your soul, and what lies here is a reminder of the freedom that accompanies the gift of life." Questions danced in a whirlwind through Miriam's mind. Is that path lost to me? Or is it just waiting to be awakened? She mused aloud. The essence began to shimmer more vibrantly, inviting her to reconsider what she thought she had left behind. This journey isn't solely about what you have endured, but also about what you might still create, Azrael encouraged, the light in his wings sparkling with fervor. The specter you see represents not just a lost opportunity, but the unanswerable question of potential to heal, to change, to grasp a new destiny. Miriam stepped closer to the mirror, her heart pounding as she reached for the unknown. But with every step, doubt clawed at her, fear of failure intertwined with the longing for a wider understanding of her existence. What if I step into the realm of what could have been, only to realize I am not enough? What if I cannot bear the weight of that truth? Embrace your uncertainty, Azrael replied, his voice a soft balm to her fraught spirit. To brave the search for self with an open heart is to invite divine grace into your life. In that grace, you are not alone, you walk alongside every seeker who dares to examine their shadows. The wonder of existence lives in the unknown, not the known. As Miriam pondered his words, a curious energy surged through the air. One by one, the other seekers began to reach out to their own reflections, compelled to confront hidden identities, their own unknowns, allowing both reverence and vulnerability to unite them in purpose. Yet amidst the burgeoning hope, an unsettling realization took root within her mind. With every projection into their pasts, perhaps they were not only unpacking latent possibilities but wrestling also with the very essence of fate. Did every choice indeed come with its own shadow, one that could grip the heart with fear and rancor? As they fully engaged with their reflections, an unforeseen truth rippled through the air. Miriam realized they were not the only ones seeking the deeper understanding of their existence. A transformation had begun, one that whispered of possibilities and uncertainties pressing at the edges of their spirits. Did Azrael, the angel of revelations, hold keys that could unlock not only their healing but trailing shadows that hinted at larger destinies, ones not merely personal, but cosmic? What unfathomable truths lay ahead, entangled in the dance between healing and heartache, revealing the profound mysteries behind existence itself? As the seekers stood entranced by the shimmering reflections, the atmosphere thickened with an intense charge, as if the very air held its breath in anticipation of what would unfold. Miriam felt an electric pulse in the air as she ventured deeper into contemplation, each flicker of light and shadow around her illuminating more of herself she had long kept buried. Can it be, she uttered softly, her voice barely above a whisper, that the choices I have made have roots far deeper than I can understand? She looked around her, gauging the expressions of her companions. Their eyes mirrored her own, a medley of hope, confusion, and the dawning awareness of a greater narrative, one that extended beyond their individual lives. Azrael moved among them, a guardian of their metaphysical journey. "Indeed, Miriam," he replied, extending his wings wide, enveloping the seekers in a cascade of shimmering feathers. "The roots of our choices entwine not only through time but also within the tapestry of existence itself. Each thread you notice connects to a broader pattern, woven delicately by divine hands." The seekers appeared entranced, drawn closer to Azrael's wisdom. "What of those choices that haunt us?" One among them, a young man, asked with a tremor in his voice. "Those that linger like shadows refusing to dissipate. Do they too serve a purpose?" Azrael paused, allowing the gravity of the question to sink in, a stillness wrapped around the gathering like a cloak. "Every shadow you feel bears witness not merely to regret, but to lessons yet unlearned. The echoes of decisions left unmade cry out not to torment you, but to steer you back toward grace and understanding." Miriam found herself grappling with the idea of her own past. What if her mistakes were not chains binding her but bridges guiding her towards a fuller expression of herself? The unfamiliar face she saw moments ago flickered more vividly in her mind. With that thought, a fleeting flicker of courage ignited within her, pushing back against the tide of self-doubt. "Are you saying," she ventured, emboldened by the growing clarity, "that within the pain of the past lies the potential for resurrection? That we are called to resuscitate those parts of ourselves that withered away?" "Precisely," Azrael affirmed, his voice resounding with the quiet authority of ages. "To confront shadows is to illuminate the eternal cycle of creation, destruction, and rebirth. When you embrace the entirety of your truth, you unlock not just transcendent understanding but something far more precious, the essence that was always meant to guide you, love." The seekers seemed to pulse with newfound energy, their fears momentarily quelled by hope. Yet Miriam hesitated, a question brewing deep within her. If it is love that guides us back to ourselves, then what of Azrael, the harbinger of truths? How do you fit into this divine scheme? Do you not hold the very keys to our redemption? As soon as the words slipped through her lips, the air vibrated with an impending revelation. The atmosphere shifted, darkening, and a whisper of unease rippled through the group. Azrael's expression grew solemn, shadows weaving through his celestial presence, conjuring images of a grand struggle. "Know this," he cautioned, his tone weaving wisdom with foreboding. "I am an envoy of clarity, a witness to both the light and dark within each soul. Yet, the scales I hold often balance between healing and judgment, mercy and consequence. The same wings that deliver healing also reveal the echoes of unstudied choices. It is through the confrontation of your shadows that you come to understand the depths of love." Miriam's heart raced, the larger narrative unfurling before her, how intertwined love and shadows are in the fabric of existence. Yet, uncertainty loomed heavy. If true understanding and healing lay within confronting their depths, what obstacles would they face in the process? And could Azrael truly be trusted as both friend and guide, or did he harbor secrets even the seekers were not yet ready to uncover? As the seekers remained suspended in the electrifying moment, Miriam could not shake the feeling that salvation might come at a price. What uncharted territories of their souls awaited exploration, and could they bear the burden of the truth that lay ahead? Would Azrael's role reveal the balance necessary for their transformation, or would they discover that understanding comes at a cost they had yet to comprehend? The air hung heavy with anticipation as the seekers stood, encircled by the ethereal glow of Azrael's presence. The weight of their unspoken fears brewed beneath the surface, each heartbeat harmonizing with the rhythm of their collective yearning for truth. Miriam, ever the seeker, felt the pull of an unseen thread guiding her deeper into this mystical encounter. "Tell us more, Azrael," she implored, her spirit exerting tenacity despite the swirling enigmas. "If shadows conceal lessons, then what balance must we achieve to transcend our own darkness? How do we ensure that love reigns over fear?" Azrael regarded her with an intensity that spoke volumes, his presence radiating a blend of warmth and solemnity. "To embrace the darkness within is to engage in a delicate dance with your own soul's trials. Each shadow you face offers a choice, to distinguish between what feels like a burden and what could become your strength. Love possesses the power to illuminate your path, but it also calls you to bear witness to your truth, however unsettling that may be, the flickering lights around them pulsed with life as his words soaked into the hearts of the seekers. Around Miriam, they murmured softly, their individual fears surfacing like marionettes in a play where they were both the puppeteers and the performers. The atmosphere transformed. What was once a gathering of hesitant souls now surged with an electric possibility, making them daring pilgrims along the trail, yet still, doubt lingered in Miriam's heart. And if love calls us to face our deepest fears, how do we perceive Azrael's intent in revealing these truths? Are you truly the messenger of love, or merely a harbinger of judgment cloaked in compassion? At that moment, Azrael's countenance shifted delicately, his wings rustled like autumn leaves, a haunting beauty woven with whispers of vulnerability. I am the guide toward understanding, Miriam, but I do not absolve your choices. I illuminate the cravings of your soul, allowing you glimpses into the bittersweet harmony of consequences and growth. Through my eyes, the divine is revealed in manifold forms, and within the shadows, I see the specter of what could be both promise and peril. Curiosity ignited further. A seeker on the fringes, troubled with the burden of his own past, stepped forward. What is it, then, that begets the transformation from shadows into love? The yearning for understanding strains within me, yet I fear the very truths that may set me free. A potent question, Azrael acknowledged with gravity. Within every shadow lies an option, reconciliation or division. Remember, the heart is not merely a light to banish darkness, it is a crucible of abundance where the alchemy of pain can forge resilience. But to reach that crucible, you must first transport fear from the realm of your subconscious to the surface. Allow it to flow through you rather than suffocate you. As his words curled into the collective consciousness, echoing off the starlit expanse, a realization began to take shape. The seekers exchanged glances, their eyes opening to the prospect that understanding was a pathway beset with intricate turns. Their anxieties manifested like spectres, a cacophony of regrets, unresolved deeds, and what-ifs begged attention. Could it be that the key lies in our willingness to confront what frightens us? Miriam pondered aloud, her words weaving through their doubts. A collective reckoning of sorts, Azrael nodded, the air shimmering with collective energy. Indeed. The willingness to share one's truth, to reveal oneself in vulnerability, nurtures the rupture between light and dark. You are not alone in this pilgrimage. Each seeker carries the weight of their own struggles, stitching together an ensemble of shared humanity in the process. Hope flickered in the hearts of the seekers as they felt the gentle pull towards each other, yet an ache of uncertainty lay buried deep. What lies beyond their collective reckoning? How would they navigate the crossroads that Azrael had presented? And as the memories and shadows stirred within them, would the path to light open ever wider, or would they discover that the burdens of honesty could prove heavier than they imagined? Miriam's heart hammered with unvoiced fears. Who would they become when the veils were pulled aside? What sacred truths might they unearth and embrace for the sake of love? As the starlit whispers embraced the seekers, uncertainty lingered like a breath caught in the throat, waiting to be exhaled. Miriam stood at the crossroads of potentiality, her heart a vessel of trepidation and curiosity. Azrael, with his ethereal glow, beckoned the seekers to delve deeper into the shadows that haunted them. As silence enveloped them, each soul lost in contemplation and fear, it was as if the fabric of reality was holding its breath, ready to reveal its secrets. Dear seekers, Azrael spoke softly, the path of transformation requires more than mere acknowledgement of shadows. It demands the courage to confront and embrace them. Each fear you clutch tightly to your chest holds a story, an echo from the depths of your being yearning for acceptance. Timidly, a woman among them, whose voice trembled like autumn leaves in the wind, said, "What if our stories are too dark to share? What if the depths contain truths we cannot bear to voice?" "Your stories are sacred," Azrael reassured her, a tranquil force against the storm of doubts. "Even the most harrowing tales are threads within the tapestry of existence. To remain silent is to shackle your spirit, while sharing is to unlock the door to liberation." Miriam felt the weight of his words. Was it possible that the act of voicing their fears could lead them not to despair but to a newfound sense of unity? As she turned her gaze to her fellow seekers, the flickering lights reflected their inner turmoil, their eyes glistening with unshed tears, their brows furrowed in thought. "But what if we become too entangled in our pain?" Another voice chimed in, "Losing sight of the love we seek." Azrael's wings unfurled, their grandeur casting a transient shadow that swept over the gathered souls. To embrace love is not to erase pain, but to recognize it as a part of your journey. The reclamation of your stories will serve as both balm and beacon. Fear may initially cloud your vision, but it is love that will guide your path through the disarray that a stillness settled, punctuated only by the beating hearts of those present. Miriam felt as though each heartbeat resonated with the weight of generations who had walked similar paths. The pain of her ancestors, the longings of her forebears, flashed before her in vivid clarity. She whispered, "What if unveiling our truths catalyzes the healing not just for us, but for those who walked before us or will come after?" Azrael's eyes glimmered with ancient wisdom. "Indeed, dear Miriam. Every act of vulnerability sends ripples through the fabric of existence, impacting not only your personal journey but also the collective soul. Just as darkness does not exist without light, your fears are interwoven with your capacity for love." As the group absorbed this profound connection, a voice broke through the stillness, a young man whose hands trembled as he spoke. "Then it is our choices that carve our destinies. By illuminating our shadows, we may mend the fractures within ourselves. But can we trust the light to guide us, or will it expose flaws we cannot bear to face?" "In embracing the light, you wield the choice to shift the narrative," Azrael replied, the weight of his presence anchoring them. "Every truth you unearth provides an opportunity not merely to confront your flaws but to explore the beauty of growth that emerges from them. Trust that the journey is sacred, for the divine dwells in the heart of every struggle." Together, they stood on the precipice of revelation, fear mingling with courage as anticipation seeped into every pore. The clarity of communal understanding began to take root within the group, an unseen force weaving their experiences into a tapestry of resilience. Miriam could see its shared wounds, the collective stories shouting to be acknowledged. "Perhaps," she ventured softly, "the shock of unveiling ourselves may indeed shatter the very foundations of who we believed we were. But does that mean we are ready to face the desecrated edges of our souls?" A shimmering silence fell upon them, laden with meaning. What awaited them if they willingly stepped into the light? What facets of themselves would emerge unscathed, or irrevocably altered? As echoes of their collective breaths danced in the twilight, uncertainty intertwined with hope, leaving them to ponder the infinite paths that lay ahead. What truths remained unspoken, longing for release? Would they find healing in the act of sharing or discover new shadows lingering just beyond the reach of light? As the air swirled with anticipation, the seekers began to feel the true resonance of Azrael's words. They stood on the brink of a revelation that would transform their understanding forever. The angel, shimmering like a beacon of both light and darkness, urged them to confront the depths of their existence, the swirling shadows and the flickers of forgotten hope. Miriam's heart beat with a newfound courage at the idea that confronting fear could lead to liberation. "Can we, together, piece together the shattered shards of our stories? Can we shine a light not only on our individual burdens but on the collective weight of our shared humanity?" she asked, her voice trembling yet bold. Azrael nodded, a gentle smile breaking through the solemnity of the moment. "Yes, dear child. The act of revealing what hides in the depths of your being can bring forth an immense power, a binding force that unites all hearts, breaking down the walls of isolation and despair. What seems like a personal journey is, in essence, a communal awakening. In that instant, each seeker began to grasp the significance of their journey not just for themselves, but for the entire tapestry of life. They were not isolated souls lost in a cavern of shadows, they were threads in a grand design, woven together through shared experiences, pain, joy, and most importantly, love. Stepping forward slightly, a young woman named Eliana spoke, her voice steadying with resolve. "But Azrael, how do we fortify our hearts against the fear that accompanies vulnerability? What if the truth is too heavy, too painful to bear?" "The strength lies not in the avoidance of pain, but in its embrace," Azrael replied, his wings opening wider, enveloping the seekers in a protective arch. "Love will flow through every crevice that you dare to uncover. Acknowledge your truth without fear, and let it breathe its essence into the world. The courage you exhibit today guides those who walk behind you, lighting their way through their own darkness." The whispers of the crowd began to fade as a profound stillness enfolded them, urging the seekers into an introspective space. Faces turned to each other, eyes sparkling with an acknowledgement, each one bearing witness to a shared struggle. Miriam's heart swelled as she reached for the hand of the stranger next to her, a small act that reverberated deep within their souls. One by one, hands began to grasp in solidarity, a network of connection began to form, anchoring their resolve against the treacherous sea of fear that had once threatened to pull them under. With courage blooming inside her, Miriam spoke again, her voice a beacon for others. Let us share our stories, our shadows, and our truths. Let us give voice to the silent cries that linger within us. The fervor in her tone ignited the spirit of the seekers, and slowly, stories began to unfold, a hesitant sharing of hopes and long-buried fears. They took turns revealing snippets of their past, each voice stepping into the light, each story merging into a beautiful tapestry that defied isolation. As they spoke, hearts began to unfurl, voices growing steadier, louder, resonating with a power that washed over the gathering like a cleansing wave. Eliana shared her fear of failure, how it clung to her like a shadow, but as she recalled the resilience that had sustained her through challenges, she felt lighter, empowered by the thought of survival. Another seeker spoke of betrayal, sharing the weight of the heartbreak that had colored his existence. As he spoke, he felt the echoes of shared pain wrap around him, releasing the grip of isolation that had once held him captive. One by one, they poured forth their truths, their lives woven together in the sound of raw honesty, illuminating the darkness they had each wrestled with. As the stories flowed like a river entwining through the valley, Azrael stood sentinel, a quiet witness to their renaissance. With each shared truth, the shadows began to recede. The seekers started to feel the weight of their burdens lift, replaced by the shared understanding that they were not alone. They were part of an intricate web of existence. The truth dawned upon them: love real, profound love could emerge from the darkness, and recognition of one's own shadow could pave the way for an unexpected beauty. It was a beauty rooted not only in individual strength but in the collective courage of a community, abstract yet profoundly tangible. As the last seekers shared their story, a profound silence fell over the group, for in that moment they had transformed. They gazed at one another, tired yet triumphant, shadows banished, the burdens of grief transformed into an awakening born from love's embrace. Azrael looked upon the gathering, his eyes shimmering with satisfaction and pride. In this journey of unveiling truths, you have discovered that love does not simply exist in absence of fear, it flourishes amid it. The shared experience of facing darkness together has bound you as family in spirit. You have chosen to walk forward, hand in hand. This collective strength nurtures the illumination of your paths. As the seekers stood, wrapped in their shared warmth, the air shimmered with energies coalescing, the blending of hopes and fears sculpting a new dawn. With gratitude washing over them, they formed a circle, hands clasped, sending forth a wave of intent. A prayer of unity to the universe, proclaiming their willingness to endeavor together. With newfound purpose, the group turned their collective gaze toward Azrael, who watched with patience and understanding. Miriam felt a pulse of reverence deep within her. "We are ready, Azrael," she said boldly. "Ready to embrace the truth, to shine light where shadows once dwelled. Ready to embody love despite the darkness." The angel's wings unfurled with a gentle brilliance, illuminating the group in an ethereal glow. "You have taken the pivotal step towards transformation and healing. And now, as you proceed on your journey, keep this at the forefront of your hearts: true strength is not found in never faltering but in the courage to rise despite the weight of past shadows. Each step taken in love invites healing not just for yourself, but for the many who wander still within the shadows." As soft light flooded the old city of Jerusalem, the seekers glowed with the dawning of a new era, the fabric of creation humming around them in a symphony of promises whispered by the winds. And as the moonlight bathed them in its radiant love, a powerful revelation settled within their spirits: the journey of life is not solitary, it is a profound collective dance, united by the threads of shadow and light, where love remains the unwavering compass, guiding them forward toward their destined dreams. Thus, on that sacred night beneath the celestial heavens, they became a beacon of hope for others, ready to illuminate the paths of those still lost, celebrating that love, in all its forms, flourishes brightest when nurtured by the courage to embrace every fragmented truth within. In unison, they stepped forward, for their journey was just beginning, a testament to living fully in the shadow and the light.